All India Radio presents Morning News. Good morning. I'm Abhishek Mukhopadhyay and with me is Vaibhav Jyotsna Srivastav. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to address farmers of Madhya Pradesh through video conference today. Agriculture Minister Narendra Singh Tomar asserts that reforms will make the country's farmers more empowered and independent. COVID recovery rate improves to 95.31%. ISRO launches new communication satellite CMS-01 successfully. And in cricket, India resumed the first innings with a score of 233 for 6 against Australia in Adelaide Test. As the nation fights the COVID-19 pandemic, we begin with a message of precaution to stay safe and protected by following these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, focus on hand and face hygiene. And now the news in detail. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will address the farmers of Madhya Pradesh through video conference today during a Kisan Kalyan Sammelan Farmers Welfare Program organized by the state government. Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan will participate in the state-level main event in Raisen, where 20,000 farmers are expected to take part. Farmers will be provided detailed information about the beneficial provisions of the new agricultural laws. More from a correspondent.
The relief amount for the loss of crops in the 2020 Kharif season will also be transferred to the accounts of affected farmers during the conference. More than 35 lakh farmers will receive a total of rupees 1,600 crores as benefits. The inauguration and laying of foundation stones for many agricultural development projects will also be done at the events. Conferences will be organized at the district, development block and Gram Panchayat levels at the same time. This conference will be broadcast live in around 23,000 Gram Panchayats of the state. Sanjeev Sharma, AIR News, Bhopal.
The Minister for Agriculture and Farmers Welfare, Narendra Singh Tomar, has said the agriculture reforms brought in the interest of farmers will form the foundation of a new chapter in Indian agriculture. He said they will make the country's farmers more independent and empowered. In his letter to farmers, Mr. Tomar said the Narendra Modi government, moving ahead with the mantra of Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Viswas, has tried to serve everyone without any discrimination. He said the history of the last 6 years is witness to it. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said that Agriculture Minister Narendra Singh Tomar has expressed his feelings by writing a letter to the farmer brothers and sisters and tried to have a dialogue. Mr. Modi requested all farmers to read it and also urged the countrymen to make it reach as many people as possible.
The government has said that 45,92,000 paddy farmers have benefited from the current Kharif marketing season procurement operations with MSP value of over 75,263 crore rupees. The Agriculture Ministry said that over 398 lakh tons of paddy have been procured from Punjab, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, Telangana, Uttarakhand, Tamil Nadu, Chandigarh, Jammu and Kashmir, Kerala, Gujarat, Andhra Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Odisha, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra and Bihar. Punjab alone has contributed more than 202 lakh tons, which is 50.86% of the total procurement. The ministry said that approval was accorded for procurement of over 48 lakh tons of pulse and oilseeds of Kharif marketing season 2020 for Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Maharashtra, Telangana, Gujarat, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, Odisha, Rajasthan and Andhra Pradesh under the price support scheme. In the light of public concern over high prices of onion in the market, the Department of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare has decided to extend the relaxation from the condition of fumigation and additional declaration of phytosanitary certificate as per the Plant Quarantine Order 2003 for imports up to the 31st of January 2021. The relaxation will be subject to certain conditions. Consignments of imported onions which arrive in Indian port without fumigation and such endorsement of the phytosanitary certificate would be fumigated in India by the importer through an accredited treatment provider. The consignment would be inspected thoroughly by a quarantine official and released only if found free from pests and diseases of concern to India. Further, if smut or dry rot is intercepted during inspection, the particular container will be rejected and deported. In case of stem and bulbs nematode or onion maggot being detected, these should be eliminated through fumigation and the consignments released without additional inspection fee. The conditions also stipulate that an undertaking should be obtained from importers that the onions will be used only for consumption and not for propagation. In addition, such consignments of onion for consumption will not be subjected to the 4 times additional inspection fee for non-compliance of conditions of import under the Plant Quarantine Order 2003.
JDU President and Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar has said that there is no problem in the state over the new agriculture laws. Talking to reporters in Patna, Mr. Kumar said that procurement of paddy is going on quickly and that farmers are not facing any problem. He said the party's 2-day national executive meeting will be held on the 26th and 27th of this month. The meeting is likely to deliberate on the party's performance in the recently concluded assembly polls and on the ways to revive it not only in Bihar but also in other states. The national executive is also likely to take a decision on whether the party would contest assembly elections in West Bengal.
Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises MSME Minister Nitin Gadkari will inaugurate the 23rd Hunar Haat of Indigenous Master Artisans in Rampur, Uttar Pradesh today. Briefing reporters in Rampur yesterday, Minority Affairs Minister Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi said that Hunar Haat has become an effective mission of the government to provide backup to brilliance and encouragement to expertise. He said the master artisans and craftsmen from Rajasthan, Nagaland, Madhya Pradesh, Manipur, Bihar, Andhra Pradesh, Jharkhand, Goa, Punjab, Ladakh, Karnataka, Gujarat, Haryana, Jammu Kashmir, West Bengal, Maharashtra, Kerala and other places of the country have brought their indigenous products made with wood, brass, bamboo, glass, cloth, paper and clay.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said that strengthening ties with Bangladesh is the top priority of India. In his opening remarks at the virtual bilateral summit between India and Bangladesh, Mr. Modi said it is a matter of satisfaction that there has been good cooperation between India and Bangladesh, whether in medicines, medical equipment or in working with health professionals.
बांग्लादेश हमारी नेबरहुड फर्स्ट नीति का एक प्रमुख स्तंभ है। बांग्लादेश के साथ संबंधों में मजबूती और गहराई लाना मेरे लिए पहले दिन से ही विशेष प्राथमिकता रही है। यह बात सही है कि वैश्विक महामारी के कारण यह वर्ष बहुत ही चुनौतीपूर्ण रहा है, लेकिन संतोष का विषय है कि इस कठिन समय में भारत और बांग्लादेश के बीच अच्छा सहयोग रहा, चाहे वो दवाइयां या मेडिकल इक्विपमेंट हो या फिर हेल्थ प्रोफेशनल के साथ काम करना हो। वैक्सीन के क्षेत्र में भी हमारे बीच अच्छा सहयोग चल रहा है।
The Prime Minister said the relationship between the two countries has continuously moved ahead in other fields as well. He said both the countries have also improved connectivity and this reflects India's commitment to strengthen ties with Bangladesh.
सार्क फ्रेमवर्क के तहत बांग्लादेश के योगदान के लिए मैं आपका आभार व्यक्त करता हूं। स्वास्थ्य के अलावा अन्य क्षेत्रों में भी इस वर्ष हमारी विशेष साझेदारी निरंतर आगे बढ़ती रही है। लैंड बॉर्डर ट्रेड में बाधाओं को हमने कम किया, दोनों देशों के बीच कनेक्टिविटी का विस्तार किया, नए साधनों को जोड़ा। यह सब हमारे संबंधों को और अधिक मजबूत करने के हमारे इरादों को दर्शाता है।
At the India-Bangladesh Virtual Summit, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina jointly inaugurated the Bangabandhu Bapu Digital Exhibition. A joint statement issued after the summit said both the countries expressed satisfaction over the current state of bilateral relations. It said both the Prime Ministers exchanged views on the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic situation in their countries. Prime Minister Narendra Modi assured that vaccines would be made available to Bangladesh as and when produced in India. India also offered collaboration in therapeutics and partnership in vaccine production. Bangladesh appreciated India's conducting capacity building courses for medical professionals in Bangla language. It was agreed to jointly organize several activities to commemorate the 50th anniversary of the Liberation War and the establishment of diplomatic relations between the two countries. Both sides also agreed to hold an early meeting of the Joint Boundary Conference to prepare a new setup of street maps along the stretch of Ichamati, Kalindi, Raimongol and the Haria-Bhanga rivers. The two Prime Ministers agreed to facilitate completion of border fencing at all pending sectors in the international border at the earliest. Recognizing that terrorism remains a threat to global peace and security, both sides reiterated the strong commitment to eliminating terrorism in all its forms and manifestations. Prime Minister Narendra Modi thanked the Bangladesh Prime Minister for supporting India in its election to the United Nations Security Council. Both countries agreed to continue working together towards achieving early reforms of the UN Security Council, combating climate change, attainment of the Sustainable Development Goals (SDGs), and protection of the rights of migrants. India and Bangladesh signed 7 MOUs and agreements after the virtual summit between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. The agreements include a framework of understanding in hydrocarbon sector, framework agreement on high-impact community development project, protocol on transborder elephant conservation, an MOU on the supply of equipment and improvement of garbage and solid waste disposal, MOU in the field of agriculture, an MOU between National Museum, Delhi, and the Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman Memorial Museum, Dhaka, and terms of reference for India-Bangladesh CEO Forum.
The Defence Acquisition Council DAC meeting headed by Defence Minister Rajnath Singh has approved proposals to procure equipment worth 27,000 crore rupees from the domestic industry. The DAC approved capital acquisition proposals of various weapons, platforms, equipment and systems required by the Indian Army, the Navy and the Air Force at an approximate overall cost of 28,000 crore rupees. Our correspondent reports this was the first meeting of the Council under the new regime of the Defence Acquisition Procedure 2020, and this will give a boost to the Make in India and Atmanirbhar Bharat initiatives of the government. Acquisition proposals approved today include the DRDO designed and developed airborne early warning and control systems for the Indian Air Force, next-generation offshore patrol vessels for the Indian Navy, and modular bridges for the Indian Army. In our special series Year-Ender 2020, today we bring you a report on how the NDA government has strengthened the defence preparedness under the dynamic leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The much-awaited Rafale's journey from France to India was one of the most defining moments in the annals of defence history. Defence analyst Mukesh Kaushik highlights the journey of the Defence Ministry in this year.
This year, 2020, would be remembered a very happening year for defense sector, and the reason were mainly two: COVID pandemic and face-off, which is ongoing even today in Ladakh sector with Chinese PLA. This has triggered many activities in defense sector, but I would start from creation of the Chief of Defense Staff post and subsequently under CDS, a Department of Military Affairs was created, which is mainly working for jointness among the three forces. There have been series of missile tests, and I would also recall the arrival of 5 Rafale fighters from France, which were inducted to Indian Air Force, and 5 more are to come very shortly. Series of missile tests, including a test of BrahMos in Andaman Nicobar, were also a highlight of this year.
Our correspondent reports India, with the second largest armed forces and with the 5th largest defence budget in the world, is in the path to achieve self-reliance in defence production.
A befitting reply to the incursion by China in Galwan Valley and foiling the terror tactics of Pakistan were among the high points of India's defense preparedness this year. Induction of Rafale aircraft along with acquisition of state-of-the-art weaponry added to the firepower. Defense Minister Rajnath Singh held the induction of Rafale in the Indian Air Force.
एयर फोर्स में राफेल का शामिल होना एक महत्वपूर्ण एवं ऐतिहासिक क्षण है और हम सब देशवासियों के लिए इस ऐतिहासिक पल का गवाह बनना एक गौरव का विषय है। मैं हमारी आर्म्ड फोर्सेस सहित समस्त देशवासियों को हार्दिक बधाई और शुभकामनाएं देता हूं।
Strengthening border infrastructure, emphasis on Make in India and Atmanirbhar Bharat for Made by India reflected the resolve of the government. The draft Defence Procurement Policy 2020 was a push forward for higher indigenous content. Government raised the foreign direct investment limit by automatic route in defence sector from the existing 49% to 74%. Corporatization of the Ordnance Factory Board and reforms in defence procurement are on the anvil. Setting up of a a project management unit and providing support to the contract management purpose would go a long way in achieving this target of timely procurement. Expansion of NCC has been ensured in 173 border and coastal districts, and 1 lakh NCC cadets will receive special training. Digitization in defense has been taken up on priority. The year saw joint military exercises like Malabar, Sampriti, BIMSTEC, DMX 2020 exercise in the Dhanush, adding to the strategic power. Sobhagyakar, Air News, Delhi.
A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to address farmers of Madhya Pradesh through video conference today. Agriculture Minister Narendra Singh Tomar asserts that reforms will make the country's farmers more empowered and independent. COVID recovery rate improves to 95.31%. ISRO launches new communication satellite CMS-01 successfully. And in cricket, India to resume their first inning with a score of 233 for 6 against Australia in the Adelaide Test. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle @AIR News Alerts.
India has crossed a significant milestone in its fight against COVID. With a continuous decline in the number of active corona cases, the active case load in the country has further decreased to stand at 3.24%. The active cases in the country witnessed a decline of nearly 9,600 cases. The number of new daily cases remained below 25,000, with nearly 24,000 cases when reported in the last 24 hours. This is one of the lowest new daily cases reported in the last 4 months. The national cumulative recovery rate has also further improved to 95.31%, with a recovery of over 94,89,000 people so far. India's indigenous coronavirus vaccine, Covaxin, has shown to generate robust immune response in its first phase clinical trials. A detailed immunogenicity response of the first phase trials of the vaccine has been declared by the manufacturers. Covaxin, jointly developed by Hyderabad-based Bharat Biotech and ICMR, has been found to be safe, generating no serious adverse effects in people of all dose groups as per the results of the first phase clinical trials.
UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres has appealed to rich nations to support the purchase of coronavirus vaccines for poor countries. Mr. Guterres said, "It is not with vaccine nationalism that we are going to defeat the COVID. It is with international cooperation." He said the UN-backed COVAX program needs $5 billion until the end of the next month. The program, created to ensure access to COVID-19 vaccines for all countries, currently faces a shortfall of more than $20 billion, he said. Urging governments to donate excess doses to COVAX, the UN chief said, at the same time he sees countries that have bought more vaccines than several times the volume of their population, or at least made the bids in that regard. He noted it is in the best interest of the world to ensure broad immunization because nature always strikes back. If we don't eradicate the disease, a virus can mutate, he added.
Gujarat has recorded 1,150 new cases in the last 24 hours. AIR Ahmedabad correspondent reports that the recovery rate has further improved and reached 92.82%. More from our Ahmedabad correspondent.
The total number of COVID-19 cases detected so far in Gujarat has reached up to 2,32,188. Out of this, 2,15,528 patients recovered. 1,305 patients recovered during the last 24 hours. More than 88,89,000 tests have been carried out in the state till date. At present, total active cases in the state are 12,449, out of which 65 patients are on ventilator. 8 patients died yesterday, taking the total deaths due to COVID-19 up to 4,211. Yogesh Pandya, AIR News, Ahmedabad.
In Odisha, the total number of tests for COVID-19 has crossed the 6.5 million mark. The total number of positive cases has increased to 3,25,147. The number of those who have recovered from the infection so far has gone up to 3,20,584. More from our correspondent.
The COVID-19 positivity rate in the state now hovers around 5%, with fewer number of people testing positive. During the last 24 hours, the state reported 351 positive cases as against 376 recovered cases. The district-wise data also reveal that while 3 districts have not reported any case yesterday, as many as 17 districts came up with new cases in single digit each. Girish Chandra Das, AIR News, Bhubaneswar.
In Bihar, 238,957 patients have so far recovered from the COVID-19 infection. The number of active cases of COVID-19 is continuously declining. Currently, 5,103 patients are receiving treatment at various hospitals. In all, 495 patients have recovered in the last 24 hours, while 583 new COVID-19 cases were reported. COVID-19 recovery rate is improved to 97.38% in Bihar. This is 2.07% more than the national average. Over 1,22,000 corona tests were carried out during the last 24 hours. Over 1 crore 65 lakh corona tests have been conducted in the state so far.
In Madhya Pradesh, more than 2,12,351 patients have recovered from COVID-19 so far. 1,326 patients were discharged from the hospitals in the last 24 hours. 1,161 new cases of COVID-19 were reported yesterday, taking the total number of cases to 2,27,949. The death toll due to COVID-19 has risen to 3,442 as 9 patients succumbed to the infection. There are 12,156 active cases in Madhya Pradesh at present. The average positivity rate in the state is 5.4%, while the death rate is 1.5%. Additional Chief Secretary Health Mohammad Suleiman said that there are adequate beds and ventilators in government and private hospitals for COVID-19 patients. Sufficient beds are also being made available to patients suffering from other diseases in medical colleges and hospitals.
In Madhya Pradesh, the State Education Department has released SOPs for schools reopening, which have to be followed by all the schools. As per the SOPs, attendance of students and teachers will be conducted through the app. All collective activities, including prayers in schools, have been banned till further orders. The principals of schools will take a decision regarding conduct of regular classes for 9th and 11th standard students on the basis of available space and number of teachers in their school. Public Education Commissioner Jayashree Kiawat has issued an order to all the collectors, district education officers, assistant commissioners and all the principals of government schools to conduct a parents-teacher meeting PTM today ahead of resuming classes in all government schools. The Indian Space Research Organization ISRO successfully launched the country's new communication satellite CMS-01 in the intended orbit. The workhorse rocket PSLV-C50 carrying the satellite lifted off from the second launch pad of the Satish Dhawan Space Center, Sriharikota at 15:41 hours as planned. In just about 21 minutes, the launch mission was accomplished and the satellite was injected into the geosynchronous transfer orbit yesterday. The ISRO chairman, Dr. K. Shivan, congratulated the team of scientists and engineers of the space agency for the feat. He said after a series of the usual maneuvers, it will be brought to the final orbit by December 21st to render the telecommunication services in the extended C-band. Dr. Shivan said that ISRO is actively involved in launching a series of satellites and probes in the days to come.
I am extremely happy to declare that PSLV-C50 successfully injected CMS-01, the communication satellite, in precisely predefined sub-GTO orbit. The satellite is functioning very well, and another 4 days from now, the satellite will be placed in the specified slot in geosynchronous orbit.
The new satellite CMS-01 will take over the mantle from the aging telecommunication satellite GSAT-12 that has outlived its planned operational period by rendering seamless service for 11 years. The intended operational life of CMS-01 is 7 years.
Karnataka Chief Minister B.S. Yediyurappa launched Bengaluru Mission 2022 yesterday to provide world-class amenities in 2 years. Our Bengaluru correspondent reports that the mission aims at ensuring faster communication and creating a clean and green Bengaluru.
The Karnataka state government wants to create world-class infrastructure in Bengaluru in just 2 years to coincide with 75th year of Indian independence. The goal is to decongest Bengaluru roads, connect people with unified digital platform, create space to showcase the culture, heritage and improve public transport. The plan is to synchronize signal lights, promote electric vehicles, expand metro network, bus priority lanes and operationalize suburban rail service in 12 high-density corridors. It also envisages treating 5,800 metric tons of waste and encourage community participation in the segregation of waste at source. Sudhindra, AIR News, Bengaluru.
In cricket, India will resume their first innings with the overnight score of 233 for 6 on the second day of the first day and night test of the format series against Australia at Adelaide. Indian captain Virat Kohli won the toss and elected to bat. Kohli played a patient captain's knock of 74 and Rahane and Pujara gave him able support with gritty knocks of 42 and 43 respectively. Australian bowlers maintained pressure throughout day one and took 6 wickets, restricting India within 250 runs. Today, Ravichandran Ashwin and Riddhiman Saha will resume the innings and try to help the visitors to amass a respectable total.
Now, let us take a look at the weather forecast for today. The national capital is experiencing a cold day as the minimum temperature dipped to 4 degrees Celsius while the maximum is expected to be around 15 degrees Celsius. In Mumbai, the sky will be mainly clear. The minimum temperature was 22 degrees Celsius and the maximum will be around 33 degrees Celsius. Chennai is likely to have generally cloudy sky with light rain or drizzle. The temperature will hover between 24 and 30 degrees Celsius. Kolkata is witnessing fog or mist in the morning and will have mainly clear sky later. The temperature will vary between 14 and 25 degrees Celsius. On to the north in Srinagar, the sky is mainly clear in the morning and it will become partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening. The minimum temperature is -6 degrees Celsius while the maximum will be around 10 degrees. In Jammu, the lower level of temperature was 3 degrees Celsius while the upper level will be around 18 degrees. The city witnessed fog mist in the morning and will have mainly clear sky later. Leh may witness partly cloudy sky. The minimum temperature dipped to -15 degrees Celsius while the maximum will be around 1 degree. In Gilgit, the sky will be mainly clear. The temperature will hover between -6 and 10 degrees Celsius. In Muzaffarabad, the sky was mainly clear in the morning and it will become partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening. The temperature will hover between 3 and 15 degrees Celsius. In Dehradun, the temperature will hover between 4 and 21 degrees Celsius. The city had fog mist in the morning and will have mainly clear sky later. Chandigarh will witness mainly clear sky. The minimum temperature is recorded at 5 degrees Celsius while the maximum is expected to be 18 degrees Celsius. In Hyderabad, the minimum temperature was 18 degrees Celsius while the maximum will be around 29 degrees. Ahmedabad will see mainly clear sky. The minimum temperature was 14 degrees Celsius. Patna will see mainly clear sky. An earthquake of 4.2 magnitude at the Richter scale hit Delhi and adjoining areas late last evening. According to Met Department, the epicenter of the tremors was in Alwar, Rajasthan.
And now an overview of today's newspapers. On Prime Minister Narendra Modi's virtual summit with Bangladesh PM Sheikh Hasina, the Asian Age writes, 7 agreements inked as PM Hasina hold meet, adding Modi will visit Dhaka in March, swipe at Pak over 1971 atrocities. ISRO's PSLV C-50 lifts off with the 42nd communication satellite, informs the Tribune. On diversifying imports, Financial Express writes, India to trim reliance on China. The paper says that as many as 1,100 items identified by the centre. The Times of India informs that Delhiites experienced a severe cold day on Thursday with the maximum temperature at just 15.2 degrees Celsius, 7 notches below the normal, the lowest day temperature of this season. And finally, the Tribune reports that yoga will henceforth be a competitive sport and part of sports disciplines at the national and the university games.
And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to address farmers of Madhya Pradesh through video conference today. Agriculture Minister Narendra Singh Tomar asserts that reforms will make the country's farmers more empowered and independent. COVID recovery rate improves to 95.31%. ISRO launches new communication satellite CMS-01 successfully. And in cricket, India resumed the first innings with a score of 233 for 6 against Australia in Adelaide Test. For details of these stories and more, log on to our website www.newsonair.com and News on AIR app. And with that, we end the morning news. Have a nice day.